So a few weeks ago, I made a editorial video about how the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and the fan edits that came along with it really changed the perception of that series overall. And in that video, I even took the time to mention how Disney and Lucasfilm could have changed the perception of that Book of Boba Fett series, not by changing any of the content, but just by changing the marketing and the maybe even the title of the series, and just how, doing these couple little things could have potentially changed the fans' perception of the Book of Boba Fett series. So it stood out to me enough to even mention it in that Obi-Wan Kenobi video, and I thought, you know what, I might as well upload that segment on its own, because even in the clip, I mentioned that this could very well be its own video. So if this clip ends up garnering enough interest from you guys, then maybe I will, at one point in time, make a full editorial piece on how Disney and Lucasfilm could have, what they could have done with the Book of Boba Fett series to just change the perception for the better, right? So nevertheless, I'll put the link to the Obi-Wan Kenobi video in the description. But elsewise, enjoy the clip and I'll see you in the next video. And frankly, minor changes to canon wouldn't bother me if they make sense or provide a great deal more context to a previous situation. Take Boba Fett, for instance. He was initially intended to be dead post-original trilogy, later lived on in Legends material, but then Disney proclaimed Legends was no longer canon, but then eventually brought Boba back in the canon through the comics, then again in The Mandalorian in live action, and then to his own series in the Book of the Book of Boba Fett. Side note, if we table our thoughts on the overall story or the backstory given to the Boba Fett character in the Book of Boba Fett, I believe the Boba Fett show could have worked a lot better for the audience if it had actually been subtitled The Book of Boba Fett under the banner of The Mandalorian, thus being called The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, which would have clearly indicated to the audience that this is ultimately a spin-off or a continuation of the Mandalorian series and story, thus making this Boba Fett show be merely a chapter within the overall Mando story, more so than it being, perceived as a fully fledged Boba Fett story, because ultimately the show's climax not only contained a Mando and Boba team up, but the Mando episodes that occurred within the Book of Boba Fett were crucial to the overall Mando story, literally bridging the ending of season 2 narratively to the beginning of season 3. And quite frankly, those were some of the absolute best Mando episodes to date. While subtitling the show and marketing it as a chapter of Mando's story, rather than a solo Boba Fett show, wouldn't actually change any of the content itself, but I feel like it would have hit the audience a bit differently, given their expectations could have been put in more of an accurate perspective. But I digress. This could have been its own video altogether, so let's get back to Kenobi!